Hello again. Skeptics, Part 2. Now let's go into something to show you that even the ministers that claim to be representatives of the Word of God are proving to be skeptics themselves. Let's look at the preachers. Preachers don't understand the Word of God at all. Knowing that God is a spirit, they're reading from books and analyzing in their head the same as the skeptics like Richard Dawkins and the others, the same way, using their own imagination and not accepting what was handed down to man by the Creator. That's why you see ministers having their yearly, annual meetings, get-togethers of the different religions, trying to remove this out, put this in, explain to a person what is written, but they explain it in their way of explaining it, not the way it's written. And you know why this is? Because they're skeptics too. The average teacher of ministry does not know or understand the word of the Spirit of Adonai. They put the Creator as a human, which is not true. Whether he came in the flesh or not, he was never a human from the beginning. He's always been a spirit. He came from the Spirit, and when they crucified him on the cross, or should I say the T, because there was no cross, it was a T. That wood was T, not cross. But yet still they wear all these crosses upon their chests, like the Tarzan, beating their chest pointing at the cross. How hypocritical, to prove that they're skeptics also. So here's what we got. We've got religious skeptics criticizing non-religious skeptics, trying to prove each other wrong when neither one has it right, because they don't understand the spirit of creation. If there was a Big Bang, then there was creation to create the Big Bang, because the Big Bang was not there from the beginning. The skeptics say that the Big Bang gathered this and gathered that, and it came together and it collided with the atoms, neutrons against negative, positive, and all this. But who was those negatives? If the Big Bang wasn't created yet, and you had these two negatives, positive and negative, chasing each other, and all of a sudden they collide, and then they start developing everything for the Big Bang. Well, who in the hell do you think that was? That means that it wasn't a Big Bang that created it. It was something creating something before the Big Bang, and before there was a light to have a Big Bang. But ministers don't seem to understand either. They criticize this religion. They criticize that religion. They'll criticize this person that's not religious, and the people that's not religious will criticize the religious, so-called Christians. You follow me, people? Here's wisdom. If you knew what time a thief was coming to steal all of your goods, he wouldn't get away with it, because you would be prepared to meet him before he stole your goods, right? This is the same thing that goes in common with creation and evolution. Evolution could never have started without a creation, if you understand what I'm saying, and whether I'm speaking articulate or not. I'm sure you get the message of what I'm saying. You cannot trust a preacher man because he can't explain creation itself. He's guessing and he's hoping, like skeptics say, and he won't give it up until the Creator proves itself. Well, let's look at the world since the so-called Noah landed his boat with his sons and their 3 wives. We'll just go in there. We won't even go into the Garden of Eden Noah is enough. Now they say that he populated the whole world, Noah and his family. And here we've got preachers, skeptics, saying that Noah was white and that he took a few black people and a couple of Indians from India and a couple of American natives and a couple of Zulu, whatever you want to call it, put them on the boat with him. It never showed them getting off the boat, though, do it? It says that Noah and his sons, after the water had receded, and their wives, got off the boat and let the animals off. But they never say that the black man came off. See? These are preachers now, trying to explain the boat and Noah and his ark. And notice another thing. Why is it that if Adonai, God, spoke Aramaic, and we got the Arabians, which speak Aramaic, why is it that he came to the three wise men, which was really four, of the east? That just means in Saudi Arabia, that's all. When it says, and they came from the east, that means they came from eastern Saudi Arabia. And then why was the mountain of God in Saudi Arabia? It's down by Yemen, is where the mountain is. It's been proven by scientists too. They've located the spot, the mountain, and where the water gushed out when Moses hit the rock, and they show all the setups that the Hebrews would have done. And at the bottom of the mountain was these Pacific type of sheep herders, and they're still there today. They've been there for 3,000 years or more. The same people in the description of Mushi that you call Moses. But it's a funny thing how man is spending his time killing people due to evolution. And then they say that the meteors all kill the dinosaurs. Well, was that with evolution, or was it by asteroids that killed the dinosaur? Now, that wasn't evolution, because everything is supposed to be held in place mathematically, and it's perfect. And they say there's a warp in space. Right, there is a warp in space, and it's showing how warped the human man skeptic is, and these lying preachers claiming that they know everything about the Word of God, yet and still they can't prove it either. But I tell you what, watch what the prophet said when the law was handed down. The 600 or more written by the hand of Adonai, how he described the world's beginning and end. It's not in Revelations. Revelations is just a summary of what's in the law of Mushi, the 5 books, which there were more, but the Christians took out some of them. See, so they're still guessing, still trying to prophesy the word, and the word has been taking place since that day of man, when God spoke, "If thou do, thou shalt surely die." Aren't we all dying? And if in the Old Testament of Genesis, if they were living 1,000 years, 800 years, 700, and God says after the flood that he would shorten their years, well then why is it that our life is so short? We live 79, 80 years, whatever. Some people don't even live to be 1 year old. And the minister can't explain that. But he tries like hell to, because he wants your money. You know, they talk about lobbyists. The biggest lobbyist fool it is in the world is the one that gives to these lying ministers, thinking that they're speaking the word of God and can't really explain how God told them what they're speaking of. They say, "Oh, I read it from a book." Well, if you read it from a book, that's not what Adonai said. He says, "Seek and ye shall find. Pray and ask for the spirit of knowledge, and you shall receive it." I claim to have that message received, and it's spiritual, invisible, placed into me. But here we got the ministers claiming that they are not skeptics. So we got skeptic on the religious side fighting skeptics of the non-religious. So it proves that they are all skeptics. You understand? End of part 2. There's more. Ciao. I'm a teacher, not a preacher.